بإحسان إلى يوم الدين. My dear brothers and sisters, Assalamu alaikum wa rahmatullahi wa barakatuh. اللهم صل على محمد وآل محمد. بسم الله الرحمن الرحيم. ألا إن أولياء الله لا خوف عليهم ولا هم يحزنون. Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala used this term, awliya Allah. Awliya Allah means that there are certain people, when they live their lives striving to be on the straight path and striving to achieve noble values, Quranic noble values, and they avoid al-haram and they do what we call al-makarim. Makarim means the noble ethical values that people commit themselves to practice in their lives. And these makarim, and I want you to learn the word makarim. It's like when we were in Laylatul Qadr, we recite some dua. One of a dua that we recited and you recite is called Makarimul Akhlaq. Makarimul Akhlaq, the noble value of morals and ethics. And it is a dua that Imam Zain al-Abidin alayhi salam and Imam Ali alayhi salam narrated from Rasulullah sallallahu alayhi wa alihi, that teach us how to achieve and how to practice and how to fulfill these values in our behavior and in our daily lives. So basically in this dua we are asking Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala to help us adapt our lives and the way we live accordingly to what a dua is telling us, as far as being nice and kind and generous and understanding and patient and forgiving and sincere and truthful and trustworthy and brave, and also supporting, helping, saving, defending the values and the people that Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala asks us to do so. All of these, it is called Makarimul Akhlaq. It was summarized in 3 statements. Rasulullah sallallahu alayhi wa alihi was asked, why did Allah send you? What was the purpose of your mission? He said, I was sent in order to complete the code of ethics. بُعِثْتُ لِأُتَمِّمَ مَكَارِمَ الْأَخْلَاقِ. I was sent as a messenger in order to complete and to perfect the ethical values, not merely by just speaking about it, but by being and making myself the excellent example for people to follow. So they said to him, وَمَا هِيَ مَكَارِمُ الْأَخْلَاقِ يَا رَسُولَ اللَّهِ. What is the code of ethics, Ya Rasulullah? What code of ethics you're talking about? Subhanallah. For a man who never known to study or to read, and all of a sudden he shows himself as the most educated, knowledgeable man ever God created, that is the miracle by itself. He responded with an amazing answer, summarized it so beautifully. He said, مكارم الأخلاق أن تصل من قطعك وتعفو عمن ظلمك وتعطي من حرمك. 3 things. Summarized it into 3 acts. You give, you being generous, and you give to those who denied giving to you. And you connect with those who disconnected with you. And then you forgive those who were unfair with you and those who committed an act of unfairness towards you. You give them a chance, you forgive them, especially when you are in a powerful position, especially when you are in an option either to hit back, to take revenge, when you are strong, when you are powerful, because the days changes. تلك الأيام نداولها بين الناس. There is an ayah in the Quran, Allah said, these days we shall reciprocate it among the people. What does that mean? It means that one day you feel yourself you are in debt towards someone, you need him, he does not respond to your need, he is stronger than you are weaker than him, he is more positioned, more powerful, he's in a position where you need him but he doesn't pay attention to you. And then days pass by and years pass by and then the situation might change. All of a sudden you see yourself in a very powerful position and that particular person needs you. And then he comes to you. And you have the option. And you might say, oh look, why are you coming to me? When I needed you, you were not there. When I went knocking at your door seeking help because you are my brother, because you are my relative, because you are my cousin, because you are my uncle, because you are my nephew, my niece, because you are my friend, because you are somebody that I know that I needed to put my trust on you that you could help me and you refused for no excuse. Now you come to me. You could say that. And to some people, justice is playing itself. But in the Quranic terms, and in the religious terms, and in Muhammad sallallahu alayhi wa alihi terms, that's not the option. They use the other option, the better option. Don't worry about it, brother. May Allah forgive you. I forgave you. I'm glad that you came to me. Don't worry about it. I forgot what happened in the past. Whatever you need, I'm there for you. That is what Allah loves. And that's what Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala acknowledges. And that's how Rasulullah sallallahu alayhi wa alihi lived his life. And that's how Rasulullah sallallahu alayhi wa alihi practiced these principles. He practiced those principles. When he came back to Mecca victorious, and he surrounded his most vicious enemies that conspired against him, gathered to fight him, ill-planned, evil plans, the harm, the pain, the hurt that they caused for him. When he came to Mecca victorious, he looked at them under the power and the reach of his hand. He said, what do you think I'm going to do with you? He said, well, the answer from his vicious enemies was, what we know about you, you're a nice, kind, generous man. Son of a nice, kind, generous man. And he said his famous statement, اذهبوا, you're free to go. اذهبوا فأنتم الطلقاء. You're free to go. That is a practical example, and that is a living example of what Ar-Rasul sallallahu alayhi wa alihi said. Another situation where I could share with you, Al-Imam Ali alayhi salam. Al-Imam Ali alayhi salam, when he was appointed as a Khalifa for the Muslims, certain event took place and some of those companions breached al-bay'ah against him, and they gathered and they ganged against him and they attacked al-Basra and they attacked Baytul Mal and they took the lives of 50 innocent guards, men and people. Anyway, the situation led to a confrontational battle in Siffin against Muawiyah. What happened that Muawiyah and his army arrived to the bank of the river in that area before the army of Imam Ali alayhi salam. And the battle did not start, and the war did not start. There were a few months of negotiation, few weeks of negotiation, and a couple of months of stalemate, of waiting period. So Al-Imam was negotiating with them to avoid the military conflict and to avoid the war. So Malik al-Ashtar came to Imam Ali alayhi salam and he said to him, Sayyidi, significant number of our men and their horses, they are out of water. They were waiting to go to the bank of the river to drink. However, Muawiyah and his army beat us to the river, so they arrived before we did, and they are not allowing us to drink. And they are not allowing us to give water to our horses. And before the war started, right now, they're trying to make us die out of thirst. Al-Imam Ali requested from Al-Jaysh al-Amawi to move and give a space on the bank of the river so his army can drink. They refused. And they said, by Allah, we are not going to do that until even if all of you die out of thirst. Then Al-Imam asked Malik al-Ashtar to take a contingency of certain amount of men and initiate an attack in order to clear some of Muawiyah's army away from the river. Malik al-Ashtar did the job, and they cleared the whole bank of the river out of Muawiyah's army. Yani Muawiyah's army lost the control of the bank of the river. Then Imam's army moved in, they drank, they used the water, they gave water to the animals, to the horses, to the soldiers. And few days later, or a week later, the situation changed. It was reversed. Right now, Muawiyah and his army is away from the water, and they have no more water. And the war did not start officially yet. And Muawiyah sent a messenger asking Al-Imam to give him a space where he could use the bank of the water in order to use the water for his men and their horses. And Al-Imam told Malik, designate a portion and clear that portion and let Muawiyah and his army come to the water. They were all astonished. Some of the followers of Imam Ali salam said, what are you doing? They wanted us to die out of thirst. And Imam responded, we are not like them. We are not like them. We work with our akhlaq and they work with their own akhlaq. We work with our code of ethics and they work with their code of ethics. Clear the water, and he allowed Muawiyah and his army to come to the water. That is the legacy of Muhammad wa Ali Muhammad. A dispute takes place in our lives, among the brothers, in the family, among the in-laws, husband and wives. How do we acknowledge, how do we resolve the disputes? You cannot live your life dispute-free. There are always people who think differently, look at things differently, observe things differently, misunderstand things differently. There are some people who intentionally will make a contract with you, a deal with you, a covenant with you, an agreement with you, and they breach it. They breach it for different reasons. What do we do? As a mu'min, as a Muslim, what do you do? First thing, Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala addresses this in the Holy Quran. You go to a alim, a scholar, and you present your case before you take actions into your own hand, before you choose violent approach, before you cuss, before you curse, before you belittle others, you go to someone you trust, fear Allah, knows al-ahkam, good scholar, and then you go present your case to him. And you ask your opponent to go to an arbitrator, and you say, I have chosen this alim to be an arbitrator. You need to go with the idea that whatever the scholar of God tells you, you need to surrender, you need to accept. You need to accept. Just like when you go to the court, and the issue goes to the court, to the judge, and the judge makes his judgment, there's nothing that you can do except accept it. Yeah, in some courts they give you the benefit of the doubt if you want to, address it again. Isti'naf, they call it isti'naf. You go to a higher court, to a higher judge, but there is a point where there is a supreme decision from a supreme judge, and whatever he said goes, and that's it, and there's nothing you can do. In all levels, local, state, federal, nation. So what do? You go to a scholar. And you go and you and your opponent and you say, okay, here is the facts. This is what I understand of the situation. Please judge among us. And whatever the scholar says, you need to accept. It's an act of iman. It's an act of taqwa. It's an act of faith. It's an act of a good intention. Okay? Because Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala says, Bismillah ar-Rahman ar-Rahim. Even with as-salat that we recite, Allah in as-salat is also telling us, إن الله وملائكته يصلون على النبي يا أيها الذين آمنوا صلوا عليه وسلموا تسليما. O believer, recite as-salat on Muhammad wa ali Muhammad and surrender to his command and be obedient to him totally. Totally. ما أتاكم الرسول فخذوه. Whatever Rasulullah gave you, take it. Whatever Rasulullah asked you not to do, you shouldn't do it. So Rasul said, when you go to an arbitrator, alim of God, scholar of God, then you accept what he says. You surrender. It's act of iman, act of piety. And you resolve the situation at the end. فَلَا وَرَبِّكَ لَا يُؤْمِنُونَ حَتَّى يُحَكِّمُوكَ فِي مَا شَجَرَ بَيْنَهُم. Al-ayah. Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala is describing the true believers to Muhammad sallallahu alayhi wa. And he's saying to him, I swear to you, Ya Muhammad, by your God. Yani Allah is taking an oath by himself. They will not be true believers until they appoint you or whoever represents you wali and the representative of al-wali. And today the representative of al-wali is al-Imam al-Mahdi salamullahi alayhi. In the absence of al-Imam al-Mahdi, there is al-Marja. And al-Marja cannot resolve every dispute in every community, but al-Marja appoints ulama. There are certain ulama known to be pious and knowledgeable. You need to address your issue with them, and you need to bring the issue to them. And the good thing is, they don't have executive power. All what they have is the word of mouth. And you will be tested then, whether you are a true mu'min or not, by applying the recommendation of the scholarly arbitrator. If you accept, you're truly a mu'min. If you don't accept, there is nifaq, hypocrisy. We ask Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala to save us all from it. Why? Because Allah said, Allah is saying that in the Quran. Allah is saying it in the Quran. فَلَا وَرَبِّكَ لَا يُؤْمِنُونَ حَتَّى يُحَكِّمُوكَ فِي مَا شَجَرَ بَيْنَهُم. Ya Muhammad, they will not be true believers until they appoint you as an arbitrator or a judge. وَلَا يَجِدُونَ حَرَجًا فِي مَا قَضَيْتَ وَيُسَلِّمُوا تَسْلِيمًا. They don't feel the burden in any decree that you make, and they will completely accept and surrender to what you say. That's an act of iman. And instead of cussing each other, calling us names, no, go. Bismillah ar-Rahman ar-Rahim. This is my case. This is my evidence. This is what I thought. Defendant and plaintiff. Okay, this is what I think, this is my evidence, what I thought, this is what I agree. Okay. Swear to Allah that you're saying the truth? I do. Swear to Allah that you're saying the truth? Yeah. Okay, I'll be back in a minute. Bismillah. My judgment is 1, 2, 3. That's it. Finish. Accept it. Can Allah yuhibbu muhsinin. The other thing that I want to address with you, there are certain people, they think they are better than others. They have a sense of ignorance, knowingly or unknowingly, in their character. When you try to reach them, they say, oh, I'm not going to talk. I'm not going to connect. When you try to call them, they refuse to speak to you. They do not acknowledge you. They look down on you. They belittle you. They underestimate your real value. And Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala in the holy book of Al-Quran warns us. He warns us about that in particular. And He told us, and He always tells us in Al-Quran, do not think that you are better than the others. Allah knows the condition of the hearts. Allah knows better about the position of every person. You are looking and underestimating him. Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala hid 3 things in 3 things. He made His rida hidden in His obedience. And do not underestimate any small little obedience. In that obedience, maybe there is the pleasure of Allah, rida Allah. And Allah made hidden His displeasure and His anger in His disobedience. So do not belittle or underestimate any small little disobedience. Why? You shouldn't look at how small the disobedience is. You should look against who you are being disobedient to. In that sense, the state of taqwa in you will prohibit you, will take a stand, initiate a wall from committing any sinful act, small or big. And if we commit the small over and over and over and over again, the small becomes big. لا صغيرة مع إصرار ولا كبيرة مع استغفار. There's no small little sin in Islam. If you repeat the small little sin repeatedly again and again and again and again, it's becoming a big one. And there's no big sin in Islam with the remedy of istighfar, seeking forgiveness. So we're talking about 3 things hidden in 3 things. We said the pleasure of Allah is hidden in His obedience. The displeasure of Allah is hidden in His disobedience. The third thing that is hidden in another thing is awliyaullah is hidden among His servant, among the creation, among people. What does it mean? Waliullah. Wali means there is a special servant of Allah that Allah loves, that Allah gives a lot of noble traits, and Allah makes nur in him, and Allah is made him closer to Him, but he is not known to others. He's not known. Since He's not known, do not underestimate anyone that your eye does not value right, because he might be waliyyun min awliyaillah. He might be a wali among the awliya of Allah. And if you despise that wali of awliya Allah, yani the worshipper of Allah, the servant of Allah, al-abd lillah, al-ubudiyya. Ubudiyya is a very special status. Ubudiyya, servantship. The linguistic term is slavery, but it is despised to hear it because slavery is connected and related to the pain that we see. But the real worship and the real service And the real pure slavery that we like is when we enslave our heart, our mind, our soul only to our Lord and only to our Creator. And some people are doing this, and they are very close to Allah, but they are hidden. We do not know who are they, so do not underestimate any person. He might be that person who is very close to Allah and who have a very special status with respect to Allah. And if you hurt him, you are fighting the Lord himself, and we cannot afford to do so. نسأل الله سبحانه وتعالى بحق محمد وآل محمد أن يصلي على محمد وآل محمد. There's only a few days left in the month of Ramadan. Use the time by al-istighfar, as-salat ala Muhammad wa ali Muhammad, and reading Surah Al-Fatiha. This is my advice. As many times as you can. Istighfar, astaghfirullah rabbi wa atubu ilayh. Reciting as-salat ala Muhammad wa ali Muhammad loud, you could hear yourself, and reading Surah Al-Fatiha with focus and reflection. And ask Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala to grant you maghfirah and rahmah for this month, and to change us to the better, inshaAllah. May Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala bless this ummah. May Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala forgive our sinful act. May Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala give us long life with pure health and good health and strength. May Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala expedite the appearance of Al-Imam Al-Mahdi salamullahi alayhi. We'll see you tonight inshaAllah on dua al-iftitah. Assalamu alaikum ورحمة الله وبركاته. اللهم صل على محمد وآل محمد. اللهم صل على محمد وآل محمد.